Welcome to the Elevated Trader Podcast. I am Dr. Kristen Kidgel.
And I am Tracy Ball. Join us every week as we journey into becoming better traders.
We believe becoming better traders involves elevating our skill, mindset, and our health. In each episode, we will discuss the current book we are exploring, and we invite you to join us on this journey.
Are you ready to elevate your trading, mindset, and health to the next level? Let's do this.
Welcome back. We are reading The Complete Turtle Trader. This is part 4. Okay, Tracy Ball, are you ready to summarize the last few chapters of the book, The Complete Turtle Trader by the author Michael Covell, and then kind of do a real quick summary of the whole book?
Yeah, sounds good to me. You want to get started?
Yeah, let's talk about the last couple chapters. I think the one thing that stands out the most is not necessarily who, like which of the traders decided, of the 23 traders, which of the ones decided to go out and become successful traders outside of the, shall we call it an experiment, right? But which ones succeeded? And one of the things that really stood out to me was a lot of them had attention from just the common people that wanted to give them money, right? And so that was kind of easy for some people because it was just right out of all of this notoriety and all this attention, in the news and everything about these, we call them turtles. So they were getting money given to them, but the ones that ended up being like more of a long-term success took what they learned, added some rules around risk, and then there was more of a, shall I say, safety net for people that would invest with the people that were out there trying to make it on their own, treating other people's money, of course. And they were okay with it because now they knew that this person was using a better risk factor or risk rules around the plan. Because from what I'm seeing from the chapters and the stories was that those original rules, there was not much cap on risk or loss, I guess I should say, different terminology there. But when the losses were there, they were big and it was painful. And then people would just bail. The investors would bail because those people were kind of using the original rules back when they were sitting in this room when somebody else was telling them what to do. And I really liked how this kind of book wrapped up with that kind of information because it wasn't the easiest of read. I'm not really quite sure why. It could have just been me, but I don't know. That really stood out with, you get this knowledge, you're taught, you tweak it to where it's safer, and you make it happen. And I think that's a good note to end on as far as a trading book goes. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. It actually reminded me of The Big Short. Did you ever see that?
I did, but it's been a while, so yeah.
Yeah, well, the part that it reminded me of is the part where he's going through the drawdowns. So basically, he expected that the real estate market was going to take a crash, and he shorted the market. But instead of it crashing right then and there, it continued to go higher. So of course, he's getting margin called, and he's having to put money back into it, and he's going further into the red on the trade. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This was basically his analogy. But all the investors, they're not seeing the immediate reaction, and they don't have the understanding or the knowledge to really choke back the risk necessary to take this amazing, brave kind of, like, it's something, a 1 in a million type of trade. They couldn't tolerate it. So they're pulling their money. They're getting mad. He's getting hate mail. He's getting all sorts of different things. And then at the end of the movie, I mean, it shows that finally the market does tank, and he's sending out the checks. Here's your $1 billion. You're welcome kind of attitude, right? And it reminded me of that because the fact of the matter, and actually I want to bring this back to trading a little bit, because I find that even with what we do and what I do, because I mentor students in the trading area, when I'm working with people or I see people interact in the communities, I see a lot of them wanting other people's trading plans, or they want other people's this, or they want other people's that, or they want to follow somebody else's system. And there's a reason that when you go to like a financial advisor, they make you fill out a risk profile, because in order for you to be able to successfully trade something, you have to be able to tolerate the risks that are associated with it. And if you don't understand what those risks are, if you don't understand yourself well enough to do that, that's what happens. And we found that in the book, even Dennis himself, he was very, very successful when he was trading his own money. But the minute he traded other people's money, he just blew it. It didn't work out, either from them not wanting him to do what he was doing for himself. They wanted the results, but they didn't understand how he got it or the risks associated with it. So it's kind of like there's a disconnect there, and they just didn't have the tolerance to sit in the ship that they felt was sinking while the captain's going, no, just we're good. You gotta
why
trust
did you join
here.
me in the first place?
Exactly, right? And it's one of those things. So I found that part very relevant in a lot of aspects, because like I said, we should all be taking some diligence and responsibility in everything that we do, and not just blindly going after things. And I can tell you that my system is not going to work for other people.
Right.
And vice versa. Right. So it just is what it is.
I tell people all the time that want to learn about trading, I'm like, okay, first of all, there's so many types, and then you're going to take those types that you might be interested in, and you're going to make it your own, like a fingerprint. Because most people end up trading around their personality type, whatever that may be. And you ended up finding out a lot about yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, while you're trading. But for example, someone like you, I don't think you've ever jumped out of an airplane, right? Okay. No. And someone like me, I would probably go up and do it again. So,
but I have climbed a pole.
What does that mean?
Like with stirrups and a and
well,
the strap,
you're strapped on though.
You know, like the I am, but I mean, I've got a strap that's around the pole, and I've got spikes in my feet, and I'm climbing up the pole, and the pole is waving at the top because you're 60, 70, 80 feet in the air. So I've done that.
That's calculated.
And if I slide forward,
that's calculator.
If I slide forward and take my feet out, I can slide right down that pole. Nothing's stopping me.
Okay. Well, so we digress. So listen, you before we started, you were like, "Oh, I really like this quote." What was one of those that really stood out? I'm like, we got to go over that one.
Oh, wow. Yes. There was actually quite a few that I found quite good in this last little part. But the one that stood out to me the most was, let me just find it here. I have been broke 3 or 4 times, but fortunately for me, I'm not an MBA, so I didn't know I was broke. That was by T. Boone Pickens. And I just love that saying. And I can see how it applies in so many areas, not just here, but I can see how it applies in so many areas, because even in my own life, I can tell you that, growing up, things weren't the greatest when I was growing up. I didn't know that. I think I remember feeling happy. It wasn't until other people told me, you're in a dysfunctional family. Oh, really? Okay.
Got it.
I must not feel good about it. Do you know what I mean? So there's that kind of an attitude. But what does it mean to you? What did you take from that quote?
Well, that quote, I mean, I think it's good, but there's another quote, and I don't have them in front of me, and you do. So there was another quote there that you read, and I don't remember what it was. So can you tell me what it was, and then I can read it?
Yeah, the other quote actually was, in fact, when referring to intrinsic intelligence, Dennis makes the point that executing a well-designed trading system does not require intellect as a key factor. Good traders apply every ounce of intelligence they have into the creation of their system, but then they're dumbbells in following them.
That one definitely is my favorite one.
So what does it mean to you?
Well, first of all, the dumbbell part I get, because then that's just lack of self-discipline. And so those people that have more self-discipline end up being better traders. Most people can make a trading plan. Most people will learn. They're given trading plans. You can find trading plans everywhere for all types of currencies, right? But can people follow them? And I think that's...
Yeah, that comes back to that whole ability to understand and know the risks and the drawdowns and the expectations, right? It goes back to the same individuals that can't let somebody else trade their money with a system that they don't understand.
So something that's coming to mind as we kind of wrap this up, and I kind of want to wrap the whole book as a whole because it's an experiment. It's 23 people. It was, in theory, supposedly completely random. They put ads out in 3 major papers, right? These people applied, they were interviewed, all this stuff. I like that part. What I would find interesting would be if we would do not necessarily be a turtle, be the person that becomes the experiment, but wonder if we put an experiment on. Because you and I personally right now know 2 gentlemen will hands down tell you they have a 90% success rate in their trading system, in their trading plans, and they trade similarly. And I'm not going to do any names right now. You can go to Red Light Trading. You can learn all this stuff. But I think it would be so cool if we took their strategies and those 2 guys and took 23, 13, whatever number of people, random people off the streets, and did that experiment all over again. You think it would work?
Yeah. I mean, I think that you'd end up with a similar result. Honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I do. And I think that's a great idea. We'll have to approach them and ask them if they want to do that.
Well, first of all, let's get them to read the book and listen to these podcasts.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Boys.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Men.
No, I think because that brings up kind of to the final point of the book. And so you have the experiment ends and you have a bunch of the traders that go off on their own, and you have some that succeed and you have some that fail. And you touched on that already a little bit. And some of the successes came from being able to fine tune and add in your own rules. But the biggest takeaway that I took from the whole thing really came down to the differences between the individuals themselves and their entrepreneurial skills. Mm. There's this part also goes into second generation turtles. So these are turtles that never even went into the program. These are turtles that learned the program from one of the turtles once they left the program. And then one of the most successful turtles turns out to be one of these second generation turtles. And he learned it from another turtle and then made it his own and just ran with it. But it was his entrepreneurial skills that really set him apart from everybody else. And that's why I say that even if we were to do this with the guys that you're talking about right now, and we were to redo this experiment type of thing, I think you'd end up with the same result, because there's some people that are very good at following rules, but not necessarily taking it and making it their own. And it reminds me of, when I was doing electrical, and as an apprentice, I saw a lot of different types come through the program. And you could take an apprentice and you can say, here's a plug. This is how you install it. Now I want you to do the next 500 of them in this building. I just want you to go and install 500 plugs. And they can go and they can repeat the process 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 500. They can do it 500 times. But if you were to change anything slightly, like give them a different type of a plug, or like a GFCI plug that has, it has an extra wire, something along those lines, all of a sudden they don't understand. They don't know what to do. You need to show them the process again. Then you have others that you show them the same process, but they understand the theory. They understand the reasons why you're actually doing it. And they can go ahead and continue to install those plugs. You throw in something different and they can rationalize and apply the knowledge to the new situation and continue to go forward instead of getting stumped. And not everybody's like that. And I think that's what differentiates between successful entrepreneurs versus individuals that really need that hand-holding and that guidance. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. It's just a personality thing, the way you learn, the way you think, the way you understand things, all of those.
Yeah. So the big 2 things that would be different in those individuals, right? Because it's a sliding scale. Some people are extreme on both ends, and then you have all the people in the middle, but it's mindset and then it's creativity. And that's probably why there's still some very famous second generational guys in our lives today that are running millions, if not billions of dollars. And, yeah. So
I think it comes down to where your attention is and the reasons why, because you've got to add that aspect into it as well, because without having that why attached to it, and I think that's what made that second generation turtle so successful as well. He had a very clear reason why he was doing this. And that kept his focus, which allows you to be able to learn and keep heading in the right direction. So when you don't have the why and you're just looking at the like one aspect of it, like making money, for instance, it's really hard to focus on all the little details that need to go into the actual journey of making money.
Yep. Totally agree.
So, yeah.
So all in all, I liked it. And I'm glad it was brought to my attention. It's kind of fun experiment. So
it was.
Yeah. What's the next one?
Thanks for joining us, guys. And yeah, let's talk about what our next book is. I think it should be The Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl.
Ooh. Okay. Stay tuned. That's the next one coming up, guys. Thank you for joining us today. For more information about the show, as well as our list of current reads, check us out at www.theelevatedtrader.com.
Remember to subscribe and share if you found value in today's episode. See you next week.